What's up? What's up? What is happening? Welcome to the Just Joking podcast. Sorry about the delay of the start. Joe and I were having some technical difficulties over here, so we might be struggle streaming a little bit while we get things figured out. So I will start the show. I hope everybody is having a great hump day. It is Wednesday. It is March. It is Women's Month, where we celebrate the accomplishment of the ladies out there. All right. It's been a while since we've had a stream as Joe was recently away during training during our last scheduled podcast to receive a service dog. So when he's able to come on stream here later on in our podcast, we are going to talk about his experience working with a nonprofit and getting training to receive his service dog. But until then, I'm going to see if I can rock this show solo. To fill some time, let's put the boring marketing stuff up front. First of all, where can you find us? You can find us at Facebook and YouTube just by typing in Just Joe King Podcast. The links are in the description box below. We also rip this and put this on the audio podcast platform as well. You lose some things like you're not able to see our pretty faces up on the screen. Okay, but you can also hear this podcast on all major podcasting platforms. Just type in Just Joking Podcast. So now that we got the marketing out the way, what else are we talking about today? Well, we've got a couple of different things that I discovered that I thought were interesting articles that I want to bring up here on the screen. Two of the major articles that we brought up was, does it make sense if you live in a state where the state tells you that as a professional sports player, in order for you to play in that state, you have to be vaccinated so you can play in the state. All right. The NBA as a whole, which stands for National Basketball Association, doesn't restrict this player based on other states where he goes to travel. But in the state that he plays in, he can't play unless he's vaccinated. However, the same state lifted the vaccination mandate to where you can attend games without the need to wear a mask. Ergo, that same player can sit in the stands unmasked, unvaccinated in his state. We're going to talk about that a little bit more when Joe comes back online. And also, would you marry somebody who is from Ukraine and that person divulged to you that they want to go back over there and defend their country in the middle of a war? Is it love? Is it craziness? Would you do it? I don't know. You tell me. That is what we're going to talk about today. All right. We've got Eric Nieves. Shout out to you. I saw that you shared the stream as well, and I appreciate that. He commented and said that it makes no sense. I don't know if neither one of those makes sense or if both of it makes sense. But Joe is back online. I have breathed enough air for him to see if he can get it fixed. Let's bring him on and see if it is fixed. Joe, I can already tell I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hey, shout out to your namesake, man. He is on the live stream. He commented and shared the live stream
Nice.
as well. So we
Nice.
appreciate those that come and watch me and Joe talk about some things. Now, I've already gotten all the housekeeping out the way. Joe doesn't necessarily have an idea. He has some ideas sometimes because I'll post up in our private chat, we gonna talk about this. And there was one that I said that we should talk about as well. I didn't put in the description, but if we have time, I want to make sure that we talk about it as well. I think me and you might have chatted this one, but I'm gonna go see if I can find it here sometime. Now, Joe, how you doing, man? It's good to see your face.
Doing good, man. How you been?
I've been good. I have to apologize though. I told you that I was gonna come by and see you often. It just slipped my mind.
It's all good, man. Honestly, it was one of those things where I was so paranoid about getting sick right before I left that I was like, "No, no, just stay home, bro. Just stay home. You
Yeah,
good?
it did.
I feel the love. I feel the love, and I knew where it was coming from.
Hey,
All
he
good
tried
for
to
you.
Heisman me the entire time too, and I even told him because he didn't directly say it, but me and Joe have known each other so long that we can read our nonverbals, even if we're not in the same room. So I was like, "Hey, look, I'll just come by. Like, you know how you got those Christmas lights, and you just drive by and see the Christmas lights, and you admire them." I was even like, "Dude, I'll just come by and just wave as I drive by real quick and wish you luck." And turn around
Yeah,
and go back home. Joe lives right down the street from me. And
and yet we do this online.
yes, and yet we come here and do this online. But man, I'm glad you're back, man. It's not the
Yeah, man.
same without you. I was gonna run it with the guest host, which would have been an amazing guest
Yeah,
host, by the
he was a
way.
good. He's a good guest. Yeah,
But I just decided to, take the week off. Matter of fact, I decided to just take the week off and enjoy the Wednesday of not having anything. So, man, first up, let's just jump right into it as we are 6 minutes in. Let's bring this up on the screen here. Let's bring this up on the screen. So, the first thing that we're talking about, Joe, is COVID is technically not over
no.
for some people and some things, right? Now, in the NBA, all right, which for those of y'all that listen, we have listeners from other countries, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a professional sports team called the Brooklyn Nets. All right. In the state of New York, they have lifted the mandate that people that want to attend the sports games can go to the games without proof of vaccination and not have to wear a mask. However, one of their players on their team is unvaccinated, and yet professional teams in that state must be vaccinated and or wear a mask or they cannot play. Joe, to you, does that make sense?
So this is the thing. There are
Uh-oh.
still places that still require their staff to be vaccinated. You know this. I know this. I mean, if that's what's required of your place, it's your choice whether you want to work there or not. If you don't like it, you don't have to work there. That's what it boils down to. Um, to have the audience not be vaccinated, but have the players be vaccinated, I mean, you got to understand the players live in a bubble,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not interacting with the fans, or at least I don't think they typically do, aside from like the hand slaps as they walk through the tunnel or whatever. Um, so the players live in a bubble. So you want to keep them from you don't even want your players to get the flu, let alone COVID. You know what I mean? You don't want them to get nothing because if one is sick in the locker room, he's going to get everybody sick. So while you and I or normal people might be like, "Oh, this is dumb. That is the stupidest rule." You don't sit in a locker room or on a bench with a bunch of people for the 90% of your professional life. Period. You just don't do it. These people do. So, however you feel about the vaccine or about COVID or the flu or strep, anything really, these dudes got to watch out for athlete's foot. Just because it's not deadly doesn't mean it's not a problem. You know what I mean?
It's
So I
true.
mean, so I mean, I know where this is going because I think I know the story we're leading up to. But if that's what the NBA or the state has mandated is the players have to be vaccinated, then they have to be vaccinated. People don't have to like it, you know.
I like that this player, Kyrie Irving, who's a
Mhm,
fantastic point guard, by the way, in the
mhm.
NBA, he decided that what he was going to do to show how stupid it was, he showed up to the game and sat in the stands among us regular people just to show how dumb that rule is. I'm telling you right now, the state of New York takes an L for this one.
Mm,
Talking about your state, Joe, how does that make you feel?
I don't feel shit. Nah, I don't care. It's one of those things where it's like if you're not going to make the crowd get vaccinated. The only reason I think that they might keep the players have to be vaccinated, like to keep that rule, is because the players have to travel to other states to play other teams and interact with those people and then bring that shit back. So I think that's the only reason they probably still have that players must be vaccinated rule.
Hey, you know what? There you go. When I was trying to say make it make sense to me, I couldn't think of a scenario in which it did make sense.
Hmm.
But that like I can see that.
Yeah,
I can rock with that. And I already posed this out to our listeners out there, and Eric Nieves said that it
makes no
does
sense.
make no sense.
Yeah,
All right. So to the listeners out there, to the people that are going to watch this after the live stream, comment below. Let
yeah.
us know
Let us
if
know.
you think that any of that makes sense. Now, this is another story that I thought was just I looked at it, I laughed because I said I wouldn't do it. Now, the headline reads
Mm,
Ukrainian woman weds Chicago fiance ahead of return to home. And I go, who in their right mind would do something like this? But let's read the article. Let's
mm,
read the article. So this was published March 5th, 2022. So it was earlier this month, a couple of weeks ago.
hmm.
And the article reads when Russia invaded her home country of Ukraine, Maria decided she had to get there and help defend it, even if it meant leaving her fiance behind in Chicago days after getting married. I don't know. I'm not trying to question people's intentions, okay? That's not why we're here. However, why get married and then leave? Okay.
You know what though? You know what though? Our veteran listeners know all about that life.
This is true. So it continues. Maria and her fiance David married Saturday before about 20 people in the backyard of an Oak Park home. The venue offered last minute after she asked for advice in a neighborhood Facebook group. The couple met last year and got engaged in October. Okay, so that was a bit of a whirlwind. So they were
Yeah, it's kind of
together and
fast.
they had known each other well before things got dicey between Ukraine and Russia.
Hmm.
Okay, so there is that. All right. And on this article, on Monday, the weekend after, she plans to fly to Poland and then make her way to the Ukrainian border, ultimately aiming to volunteer to fight for her country. You know what? Make this bigger on me real quick. All right. I know somebody from the Ukraine that lives here. And let me tell you, this person has national pride like nobody's business. This lady is 40 something years old, and she said in a heartbeat she will get back over there to help out her country. Her family's still there. Okay, so obviously she feels some type of way about what's going on over there. Now, I don't understand anything about how she feels and how the other people over there are dealing with the situation and actions that are happening with them. But when I heard this lady talk about how she was quick to want to go back over there and fight and help, I'm just gonna say it. My initial thought was, what are you gonna do?
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
but okay. I also heard this saying where if you take one finger, if I poke you and poke you and poke you with just one finger, over time I could do a lot of damage, but initially this ain't gonna do anything. But if I take this finger, combine it with this one, 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 and take that motherfucker like this and hit you like this, now you've got some force. So hey, it's not just this 140-year-old person that couldn't pick me up as I'm a heavy ass bastard and weigh 260 something pounds, but it's the combined effort of the many people over there that are saying, we're not just going to roll over and let things happen. So shout out to this lady, Maria, who wants to go back over and help out her family and her country. Joe, do you have anything to add to that before I continue?
Uh, I I honestly I respect it. Um, I think everybody should. Uh, but I don't know. I got like an old frame of mind where it's like everybody should be doing something. You know what I mean? Like everybody should be. Yeah, exactly. Maria's a boss. Yeah, I think if you can, if you have the body to do it, you should go there and help. Um, if you're Ukrainian, I'm not saying Americans need to go do that. I know there are probably some Americans who are, and Godspeed to them. But if we were living abroad and somebody attacked the U.S., I'd probably come back and do something. Physically, I can't do shit anymore because I'm fucking broke. But I'd come back and I'd offer like some support assistance or something. Like if you think about the kind of fighting that they have to do, they need everybody they got, everybody who's willing to try. And I don't look down on the people who are fleeing because this is kind of, it feels insurmountable when you think about how big Russia is and how we're seeing a lot of their stuff fail, but that doesn't mean there's not a lot of stuff that's succeeding. You know what I mean? So it seems overwhelming and impossible. And for the people who are leaving, the men, women, and children who have to go because they can't fight or because it's just they got to take care of their kids or their family, and nobody else can. I completely respect them. So Maria's a boss. Maria, do your thing, and I hope you make it back to your husband. Yeah, I hope you make it back.
Yep, yep. So, interesting part about this too, okay? It says right here, a friend is saying people are running out of there and she's running in. Okay, that takes a special type of person. And you need a
Mhm.
lot of people like that if you want to, I feel bad about saying this, but if you want to have a fighting chance.
Uh, What side note? I want to say this friend at the wedding is fake.
Ooh.
Her look. Her name is Pamela Chinchilla. I feel like I feel like it's totally a made up name.
That has to be a made up name.
Like I don't want them
Pamela
to really
Chinchilla
know
of
who I
Lombard.
am. I mean, if there's a Pamela Chinchilla out there right now, I would say, make a TikTok or become an influencer and use Chinchilla in the name because that is a great name if it's
That
not
is
fake.
a great name. I have to think of some type of pseudo name to come up with here on the spot. Bad part about having a unique name like
Yeah,
King is that it is a
it's
unique
already a
name.
good name. Yeah.
But bro, I'm starting to get recognized out here in these streets. It's a
Yeah.
it's a crazy feeling. I have to tell you about that offline, but it's a
Yeah, hell
crazy
yeah.
feeling. So, let's see. 7 guests at the wedding brought medical supplies, masks, and other items for her to take to Ukraine. So, look, people didn't show up with
Mhm.
toasters and new TVs for this new couple. They showed up with medical supplies, first aid kits, and things that she could take over there. That's dope. I wonder if that
That's
was
tight.
like something that was talked about, or if people just kind of decided to show up together, knowing that she was going to go over there to give her some type of things that would be needed, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. She asked that her last name not be published because she fears for her family's safety in Ukraine and in the US. She's lived with her parents how do you
Yeah.
pronounce this? Is it
Kiev.
Kiev?
Kiev.
Kiev? All right, Kiev until 1991 when her family moved to Poland. So from Ukraine to Poland, Poland to Chicago, which I've learned, according to this article, actually has the second largest Ukrainian born population among US cities. Now,
Wow.
Maria was previously married, which, she's an older lady, so that's not surprising. And she met her ex husband while studying music in Austria. And more than 20 years ago, they moved to his hometown of Chicago. So that's kind of interesting to me because you have somebody who she met in Poland, all right, I'm sorry, she met
In
in
Austria.
Austria and they moved to Chicago, where Chicago also has the second largest Ukrainian born population among US cities. I wonder if the decision to move there, even though it was his hometown, was more of him or if it was more of her. Because, hey, she might have had cousins and stuff over here already.
Mm.
So, she might have been kind of whispering in his ear, like, hey, baby, you know, Chicago wouldn't be a bad place to live. It's home to you. We can go back, start up our family, have a good old time. That's how I imagine that conversation when she started whispering sweet nothings in his ear to get him to move back. He probably couldn't stand. Who goes from Austria to Chicago? You don't go back to Chicago. You leave Chicago.
Yeah, for real. I was gonna say, really, Chicago of all places from Europe. I was saying the only place that's more third world country than a third world country is Chicago.
Yeah, yep. Shout out to Eric. He said, I did that. Hey, baby. All
Yeah,
too well.
King's gonna start an ASMR coming next week.
Hey, don't give me no ideas. I'm always trying to find ways to gain audiences and money. All right. Now, since the war began, she used messages and calls through Facebook to keep in touch with her parents, who have been sheltering in a parking garage during attacks in Ukraine's largest port city of Odessa. Odessa. I'm going to butcher things
I'm
up
sure. I'm
because of
sure I could just
Alabama.
call it Odessa, like the one in the U.S.
Yep. But she said that she hasn't been able to reach her cousin in Kiev in recent days. Now, this is pretty interesting too, because my friend who is from Ukraine showed me photos and videos from her family members that sent some stuff. Now, this isn't the things that you would find on mainstream media, but in my opinion, okay, just as an outside observer, m- um mainstream media over sensationalizing things. Is bad shit
Oh
happening?
yeah.
Absolutely. Is bad shit happening all of the time? Not the way that the media makes it seem. Like she showed me video of her sister walking their dog and kids outside on a sunny day with no missiles raining down like hellfire, you know? Now I'm not saying that in war things is happening like that all the time, but if you were uninitiated, you would think that when something like that breaks out, it's just boom, 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 boom all the time and panic and limbs everywhere. And that's not the case.
Uh, I honestly think that this whole Ukraine thing is right now. Ukraine is teaching a master class in war propaganda.
Hmm.
They are galvanizing the entire world to get their back using brilliant marketing tactics and propaganda pieces online. It's absolutely incredible. And we've seen rise to the TikTok war correspondent where we
Yes.
used to have CNN reporters and Fox reporters and MSNBC people out there on the front lines with people. Now we're seeing people with their TikTok accounts live streaming the ghost of Kiev or showing javelins taking out tanks from down the road. Ukraine is absolutely killing social media. I mean, Ukraine has its own account first off, and let me tell you, it's good. They're doing a killer job. But like this campaign for information right now is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Um, we're honestly, I feel like with all the shit everybody's accused Russia of and found it obviously like real shit, you would think Russia would be doing a better job of misinforming everybody. You know what I mean? So like we got these sensationalized news reports from coming from the mainstream news outlets, you know what I mean? Oh, it's catastrophe, it's fucking end of the world because that's what all the mainstream news outlets want you to believe. Then you got the TikTok influencers from Ukraine, like the people living in Ukraine showing these things happening and you're getting these war stories or these war urban legends. You know what I mean? Like Ghost of Kiev. Ah, I want to believe. I want to believe the Ghost of Kiev, dude.
Same.
I think everybody does. Everybody wants to get behind some dude getting in a cockpit and just lining them up one by one. You know what I mean? So you're getting these war urban legends from TikTokers, and you're getting, Zelensky doing these I'm in the ditch or in the trenches with you live reports and requests and calls to UN and to the EU, and we're seeing a war of information happening unlike any we've seen before. Like even when we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, we were not doing this.
Hmm.
And honestly, I think the soldiers were worse off for it too. Like if we could have done a better job of positive PR, the problem is there wasn't a lot of people weren't really happy with the fact that we were still there. And that's fine. That's totally understandable. But look at when we pulled out and the shit kind of hit the fan for a few minutes and all the people who were like, let's get these people out of here who helped us, the people who deserve to come over to us and be with us. Look at that campaign. That's similar to what we're seeing now, but we
Hmm.
didn't see that happen during the war though. And Ukraine is absolutely handling this information war right now, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and I feel like watch the next conflict we get involved in. You're going to see a similar campaign because you and I and the other people in the U.S., everybody, because lots of people have probably raised eyebrows like, it's pretty good. We're not the only people who think that.
Yes.
There's some dudes in the government that's like, fuck, man, why didn't we think of doing this shit before?
Yes. Yep.
And I can tell you right now, some fucking officer, some field grade officer in the DOD is like, "Can we write this shit down? I'm going to use this the next time we get." And then they're going to be like, "Oh, this fucking guy's brilliant, man. We didn't think of doing this before. This guy's a genius. What is he, a millennial? Let's get this guy up here and make him an officer."
I like that voice. I
You know
like
what
your.
I mean? Some goofy fuck is just like, "This guy's amazing," but that's the thing is like that's the kind of assets and the kind of resources like grassroots low key no money resources that you could just lean on,
Yeah.
and it's generating global support. Damn, that's impressive. It makes me wish we thought of that shit, you know what I mean? Like say we did it first, but no, Ukraine is absolutely tiny little country. Ukraine is standing up to big bad bear Russia and holding their own. Like it feels good. It feels good to see. Nobody's gonna
Yeah.
poke these little beehives if they're actually putting up a fight.
You know, it's my opinion that everybody likes to see the quote unquote little guy step
Hmm.
up to the big bad bully and hold their own. There's been countless stories about it.
Yeah,
There's been movies and screenplays. And it's always one of those that when you observe it and you see it, you just kind of go,
yeah. It,
okay.
it's
Like,
Rudy, man. Everybody fucking loves Rudy. You
yes,
know what I
sir.
mean? Shout out to Sean Astin.
Hey,
But you
Sean Ashton, if you would like to come on the Just Joking podcast, let your boy know. We shooting our shot over here.
for real, please, Duke. I love Sean Astin. He's such a badass. Yeah, you know,
So there's a comment that said trying to keep them out of NATO, but might just make them join. It looks like you had thoughts about that.
so what's going to happen is Ukraine will eventually join NATO. It's going to happen. This is going to be sign and proof that one, they're going to join the EU, which they've already started, and two, they're going to join NATO. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen so this doesn't happen again. And honestly, all this all this grandstanding about fucking nukes and constantly reminding everybody that Russia's a nuclear power is just so that NATO doesn't step in. It's just basically saying, I got nukes. You know what I mean? Like he's just fucking don't do it. I got it. But I don't think he's going to like that's the thing is nobody's crazy enough to launch a nuke anymore. Just nobody. I don't even think he is. I think that he'll make everybody think he is, and that's an important tactic. But ultimately, yes, they will end up joining NATO. I mean, it's just so this doesn't happen again. All his like puffing his chest out and shit is just so NATO doesn't get involved because once NATO gets involved, it's Russia against the world. You know what I mean? And Russia doesn't want that.
I
So
don't
they
think
have to
Russia wants that smoke.
no, they don't. They don't. They'll play games and pretend like they do, but Putin's not stupid. Like that's the thing. You can hate him all you like, but just because you hate a guy doesn't mean he's not intelligent. You know what I mean? There's lots of smart people who we think are stupid, but they're absolutely shit brilliant.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean,
I tell
this
people that
guy's
all the time. Don't it's sometimes you might not want to question somebody's intelligence because there's been some people that even I'm like, I can acknowledge the fact that person's actually pretty brilliant. Sometimes it might it might be perceived that they
yeah,
see some dumb
yeah.
stuff,
I
but
mean, you
they're
can
actually
say stupid shit and be a smart person.
yes.
You know what I mean? But this dude survived the Cold War and was a KGB agent and survived in a country that kills its own people like all the time. Like the corruption and shit that happens in that country, which is why he's still president, mind you. Like, yeah, dude, that dude knows his shit. Like, he's not a joke. Like, that's the thing. This Russia attack on Ukraine seems like it's going well right now, but it's not going to continue going well. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but Russia might fuck them up really hard. They have superior numbers. Like even if Ukraine is doing a 1 to 10 fucking success rate, eventually Russia will still wear them down. So without support from NATO, there's it's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hey, dude, I found something interesting about this article too that I
So
wanted to bring up right here. So it says 3 days into the invasion, she made up her mind that she was determined to be useful without having any medical or military training. She decided to go over and do that. The
she could do
next part,
humanitarian stuff.
when I read this, I laughed. She said, I have to go. I can't do protests or fundraising or wave flags. And when I read that, I don't know why, but the first thing I thought about was kind of how things typically happen over here, where you will have some people, something will happen, there's a protest that goes on, but ultimately, like, what's done besides maybe just awareness of something, right?
It's a feel good protest.
Yes.
They protest so that they feel good. It doesn't do anything. It just
Uh-huh.
makes them feel good. That's a feel good protest.
I read this part because in my mind, she had this heavy European accent, and this was kind of a way at like jabbing Americans in a way. I
Hmm.
could be totally wrong, but that's just how I interpreted this part. And I was about to do something that would have been totally bad. I was going to mimic how I thought I heard it in my head, and then the other side of my brain said, "Don't you do that." But she said, we've done this since 2015, Ukrainians, and I just can't do it anymore. Now, her fiance, the guy from Chicago that's going to be her second husband, he said he's not going to stay behind. He wants to go and support his new wife, who he's just met and known for less than a year, but he doesn't have a passport yet. So while she plans to leave on Monday, which if this article, I tried to look to see if it was up to date, see if there was some type of follow up to see if she left or got held up or anything, and I couldn't find anything. So we can assume she's already gone, and this guy's still behind, trying to dot his I's and cross his T's so that he could fly over to Poland and then go into or assist his wife wherever she may be by going over there. I thought that part was insane. And I'm going to tell you right now, zoom in on me. I ain't doing that. I am not doing it. Not happening. Okay. Not happening. It's just, man, I don't see the merit in that.
In
Not for
what?
somebody who I've known for less than a year.
I mean,
I can't do it.
love. Well, you
Love is
gotta.
stupid.
Well, yeah, love is pretty dumb, but it is what it is because it's so stupid. You know what I mean? Like love wouldn't be worth having if it wasn't fucking completely batshit crazy. But I mean, they could do humanitarian stuff. They can contribute in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to necessarily be dangerous. They can help people cross the borders. Let's be honest, it's all dangerous. But yeah, yeah, love makes you do crazy shit for real. Yeah, it sure does.
Yep. And she goes, he knows how stubborn I am and knew that he'd have no chance to convince me otherwise. And this guy said that he feels a responsibility to do what he can to keep her safe. You're gonna do what you can to keep her safe from a tank if she chooses to want to go in country. That's what
Mm,
you're gonna do, David.
I don't know.
Hmm.
He knows how stubborn I am and knew he had no chance to convince me otherwise. Maria, do you have a red flag?
See, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it, but hey, that's all I needed right there for me to go red flag. I am out, and I'm doing this right here. I'm out.
I've
Eric
dated enough.
Nieves
I've Go ahead, go
said,
ahead.
"Love makes you do crazy stuff, man. It does. Love makes you do crazy stuff like get married." Hey, look, I was previously married. Joe is married. Eric, are you married? I don't know if he's. Do you know? You know what? Don't put Eric's status out there. I'll let Eric put his status out there.
I let Eric
My
speak for himself.
bad. Oh man, but yeah, it said that even though Ukraine's forces are outnumbered and outgunned, their resistance has not allowed Russia to just come in, stump over them, and leave. He said he is engaged. You know what? I'm going to give you a clapping sound because look, here's the deal. I might shit on marriages, all right, but I'm not a believer in marriages being a bad thing altogether. I think it could be fantastic if you mate select properly. Okay. That's my opinion. I am all for making unions work out, however, people choose to decide to make their unions work out. Because I'm not just about, oh, there's one type of marriage or whatnot. Poly's a thing. I believe in it if folks want to try and make that work, but we're not here. We can talk about that on a whole new episode.
That's a whole nother bag of fucking worms, man. Or
Yeah, I'm
can
gonna
of
put
worms? Can of
I'm
worms.
gonna put that in the idea bank, and I
Okay.
actually have somebody, if I asked, who might come on our channel and talk about that lifestyle.
Like, I hope this person has been married at least once, maybe twice, or has never been married. So that way we have you who's been divorced, somebody who's never been married, and then me who's been married 3 times.
Yeah, this person is currently married.
Okay, okay,
Um,
that's good. That works too. That
Yep,
works
yep, 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 yep. They are current.
too.
They were married and divorced. Now currently married and in a poly relationship.
Ooh,
And
Polly.
me and him are really cool. And I think if I asked him, he would come on. So
See, that'd
viewers,
just be a
listeners,
fascinating. Yeah,
be
God.
on the lookout for that because I've always kind of wanted, like me and him have talked about it, but I wonder if he's willing to share
Yeah,
that
yeah, that'd be cool.
publicly.
That'd be cool. Just so I learned something new. Because I mean, we've all watched Polly videos on the internet. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, there's this interesting show on Snapchat called Love Don't Judge, and they have all these different types of relationships that are typically viewed as non-conventional, and the people come on and share their thoughts and the pros and cons as far as how it's viewed and things like that. So,
Is it
yeah, all right.
non-conventional to prudes?
Ooh,
Because
yeah, it
I
would be a
mean,
little bit more non-conventional to
because I
the
mean,
prudish people of the world, but
but to everyone else who doesn't have a hang up about how many people you're with, it's not non-conventional.
that's true. That is true. Well,
We
yeah,
This needs to be an episode.
yes, yes, it does. Let's see. So yeah, so this lady meets a guy. In the course of a year, they choose to get engaged.
Mhm.
Shortly within their engagement, war breaks out in her home country. She wants to fly. He, despite the US putting out travel warnings about going over to that area, wants to follow his now newlywed wife to go over there. Poll, would you do it? Me, answer is a easily, swiftly, hell no. Joe, would you?
If my wife wanted to go no matter what and I couldn't change her mind, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll go, but I don't got a passport. You go and I'll catch up with you later." Oh, I'm this passport process is taking forever. Everybody's trying to go back. The US has a no-fly list now. I can't go over there. Just stay in
Hey,
touch. We'll stay in touch. We'll do this Skype thing every night, okay?
hey, I made the joke that if she was able to have life insurance money, hey babe,
We're
go ahead.
awful.
I'll see you when you
We're
get over.
awful.
That's horrible.
It's
That is
horrible.
absolutely horrible. All
Now, I
right.
hope that she goes there and saves a bunch of people's lives and nothing bad happens to her.
Oh yeah.
Straight up. We make
Hey,
jokes, but I
absolutely.
want her to be okay. I want everybody, as many people to be okay as possible.
Yes, while we are making jokes, war is not a joke.
No.
Life is not a joke. Now, we do this, we kind of talk about these things. We like to bring light and comedy towards, different situations and stuff to help change the narrative a bit and have the ability to be able to talk about this stuff. You can have a conversation with some people in certain instances, and then it starts escalating to different things. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I don't want to talk about this to argue with you.
Hmm.
We can have a differing opinion or a different viewpoint on something, be able to agree to disagree, but as decency of human beings as we should be to each other, we should be able to talk about this kind of stuff without fear of pissing somebody off or, worrying if they're going to feel some type of way and blacklist you.
Hmm. And you don't think for one second that in the middle of Iraq and Afghanistan, us service members are not cracking the worst fucking jokes. Absolute disgusting jokes because it's
Hmm.
the only thing you can do to stay sane. You know what
Yep.
I mean? Because war is ugly as fuck, but we have a good time when we can have a good time. You know what I mean? Like in the in between times. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, Joe, we are going to move on to our next subject, and it is about you and the
Mm,
newest addition to your family. But before we do, I want to acknowledge a comment. Eric Nieves said, dark humor runs in the military. Yes, it does. I'm going to tell you
yes,
right
it
now,
does.
I heard some stuff that it's one of those things that we can laugh amongst ourselves, but there is no way in the world 99% of us would utter it outside of our own group.
No, no.
there,
The
there,
jokes
there
that
is
we make, we don't make in public.
Yep. There is that 1% dude who's just not going to care about how anybody views him or whatever. And
He gets
he or she's,
canceled.
yep. And he or she's always been that way. And he or she is going to be viewed a little bit different. But that's just how it is. It's just how it is. But it allows for people to be able to cope for some things in their own way and have that kind of code to where you can crack the jokes and know that the person is gonna nod, laugh, and you guys can go on about your day. Now, while I bring this up on the screen here, the last time that we talked, Joe was leaving out to travel to work with this nonprofit to hopefully be paired and receive a companion. And you were able to graduate. I
Mhm.
missed the graduation live, by the way. Totally, it just
Oh,
forgot
good.
about it.
Still on the internet.
Yes, it is. It is still on the internet, and I did watch it afterwards, and I even commented on
Yeah,
the video as
appreciate
well.
it.
But tell us about your experience starting from the were you anxious as you were traveling there? Did you drive yourself, take public transportation? How'd you get there?
So,
Let's start from the beginning.
okay, so this is complicated because I had to put up with things that are part of the whole reason why I have a service dog
Talk about it.
now. I like most people, I struggle with anxiety. And it's not just social anxiety. It's not the anxiety of being in public. It's the anxiety of what it's like when I'm surrounded by lots of people.
Mhm.
All of our friends who have PTSD, all of the people who know what I'm talking about when I talk about PTSD, know all about the hypervigilance, the constantly looking around, trying to see what's going on, making sure you know what's up so you can make moves if something goes down. It's just what we do. Like, it's just the nature of what we do. We're constantly aware of our surroundings, which can be overwhelming. And it makes it very hard to enjoy your present situation.
All
Let's be
right.
honest. That's just the way it is. And anybody who has endured any form of PTSD knows that. I come from New York City. I lived my entire life looking over my shoulder to make sure nobody's following me, to watch the attitudes of the people around me in case somebody wants to jump me. You know what I mean? Like, then you take that and add that on to all the PTSD from war and being in the military, blah, 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 blah. So, ton of anxiety going into this because I didn't know what to expect. I'm outside my element. I'm going to a place and I'm at their mercy. No, and that sounds negative, but I just didn't know what to expect. They did their they did a great job of explaining everything and telling me what's going to happen and how it's going to happen and where I'll be. They showed me where I'd be staying. I They took a lot of the stress out of it. The anxiety was all me. So usually my wife would drive with me because I don't do a ton of driving on my own. The only time I drive on my own is when I go to work. The rest of the time, it's us doing things together. I don't go out on my own. I just don't. It's not worth it. But now I'm trying to. So I went up there and we did the 2 weeks of training. It was like a week and like 9 days or 10 days or something like that.
Where is
Um,
there?
Up in Long Island, New York.
All right.
So the organization I went with is Canine Companions for Independence, or now they're called Canine Companions. Um, so they're amazing. They've trained dogs for various needs. I guess that's the best way to say it. I particularly was part of the PTSD service dog group. Um, and they that means that my dog is trained to deal with some of the things or complete tasks associated with my needs. Like, all these dogs are trained kind of tailored to the person that they think the dog would fit with. So they meet the person like myself. They interview us. We talk over several months. We meet a couple of times, and then they take in the things that I might need assistance with. They take tasks that are associated with the kind of needs a person like me has for PTSD. I have hearing loss and tinnitus in my ears. So my dog actually has some hearing tasks, um, which most not all dogs are trained that way. Like, hearing dogs are, but not all other dogs are. So, like, that's the thing. Like, the dogs are trained unique to the person that they're trying to pair them with. And my dog, Jem, is absolutely incredible. Um, she's trained to help me with a lot of things. It's really fantastic. Um, I'm trying to be a little bit more going out. What's the word? Outgoing. I said it and then I said it the other way. I'm trying to be a little bit more outgoing now that I have her, and it's working. Um, but it's a long process. There's a lot more to it. It's not just you go here, they train you how to take care of this dog, then you leave and you take care of this dog, and that's it. It's They teach you how to train your dog to learn new tasks. If you have tasks that you think could be added, they teach you the nuances of training them and teaching them, over time, and how to build that trust between you and the dog. And you do stay in touch with them. They certify you with the ADA, and then you get a recertification after 6 months, and then again after a year, and then again after 3 years. So you're constantly teaching and learning and growing as a team. There's a lot that goes on and goes into this. And let me tell you, like, they're not the only really good dog organization, but they are an amazing dog organization. And I'm now working on getting my dog registered with the VA because the VA recognizes service animal organizations. Now you can get the dog registered with the VA to be, that it's in your medical records, and I think they VA can provide assistance to help with the care and health and care of your service animal. So there's a lot, man. There's so much. My head's still exploding from all the information. Um,
Now,
but
there's a story
good.
behind your dog's name. Are
Hmm.
you able to tell the story about your service dog's name?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So my dog's name is Jem, Jem, and it stands for John Edward Manton, who is the father of one of the board of directors. He was an active duty army guy, served in the army, and loved dogs. And his daughter, from his love of animals and his service, she became, she got into this organization and helps run it. And I mean, the things they do with dogs, man, it's incredible. But a lot, some that inspiration for her came from him. So it's really cool to see and to hear like the story because I don't know the whole story. Like I don't have it memorized, but I heard the whole story of how Jem had her name donated and everything, and it just worked out that she ended up with an army veteran. So it's really cool. I absolutely love Jem. She's she's napping right now. I tuckered her out. We go out and we play and we train at least we play at least twice a day and we're training at least once a day. Um, so she's tuckered out usually by the end of the day, which is good because you gotta get that energy out. And there's my other dog, Nemesis, my little French bulldog.
Hey, Nemesis is cool. I've hung out
Yeah,
with Nemesis a couple of times.
she's
That little
funny.
joker is hilarious. I have not met Jim yet, but now that Joe's anxiety has passed about, getting through his training, because hey, he'll tell you too, and what he's already talked about previously in the past, he's been on the way, or he applied. Like this
Mhm.
wasn't just he applied last month and got picked and went through. Like he applied a while ago. The nonprofit that he uses has steps and things that they get through, and hey, his number finally came up.
Yep.
But just because they reach out to you and contact you, it is not a guarantee that that particular service or nonprofit is a good match for you. There's still some
Yeah.
evaluations that get done, and hey, maybe at the moment that you apply, there's some things that you might have to work on before they can match you
Yeah.
with the service dog. But and I don't know this for sure. Maybe you might know the answer. If somebody gets there and for some reason things don't work out, do they just wash their hands of you, or do you get the sense of the feeling that maybe they're connected to other organizations or resources that could maybe help somebody out?
Well, I guess a prime example is not all of the dogs graduate and or succeed in becoming certified service animals
Mhm.
or guide dogs or companions. And the ones that don't, they get to go and live perfectly normal, happy lives with adopted families. So it's something similar in that not everybody is going to be a perfect candidate for a dog or a service animal or a companion because there's a lot of needs that have to be provided for the animal as well, and not everybody's up to that task. You know what I mean? There's a lot that goes into it, but I don't think they just write you off. They have some. I don't because it didn't happen to me. I can't really speak to it,
I
but I
understand.
mean, just because you're not ready now doesn't mean you're not ready in a few years.
Yes.
I think if when I very first signed on to get a service animal, I actually took my name off the list because I just wasn't ready for it. And there's a lot of other things behind it, but it wasn't the right time.
Mhm.
And when the pandemic hit and then I had changed jobs right before the pandemic hit. I was like, you know what? I got to stop putting myself off and waiting and stopping. Let's do this. Let's get on the list. And now I'm here.
All
So
right. Two quick questions. Was there a financial burden on you to get yourself there and do the training, or did the nonprofit cover that?
No, well, I had to drive up there, but I stayed. They have rooms in the campus, and it's really nice. The accommodations are really good. Um, so I mean, I didn't really have to come out of pocket. Just maybe a few meals a day, and that's really it.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Well, Canine Companions, canine.org. It's the nonprofit that Joe was able to work through to get some assistance for his needs and everything like that. And I cannot wait to meet the newest addition to La Familia. I hope I didn't butcher that up. My Spanish is not excellent.
And not bueno.
So shout out to K9 Companions. If you're out there and you're interested in seeing what they're about, maybe even donating or getting involved, they got some buttons right here where you can figure out how to volunteer, become a puppy raiser, which I've talked to other people, not just veterans, that are puppy raisers that help with the caring and feeding of the uh service dogs or service animals to be, if you will. You can help start a fundraiser, attend one of these dog fests, which I've heard about, or just
Mhm.
being an advocate. Even just sharing on social media can make things a false multiplier to get information out there about a company or a nonprofit that may not have been heard. Or if you are
Or
so inclined, you can donate, because that's what I
so
do. I
that
just
sharing on
donate.
social media is a big deal too, because somebody out there has been on the fence and needs it and hasn't made that move. Thanks, man. Appreciate it, Eric. Um, Somebody out there has needs to make that step and say, I need to get on the list and I need to make this happen because I need to do better. I need to do more. I need to get out in the world and be a better individual. Um, you know, so share it on social media, say something about it, tag it, hashtag it, something. Just just for a second, just to see what's going on.
All right. Well, Joe, we are coming up on towards the end of our stream, where typically you would have a wad, a word of the day. Do you have one prepared for us this evening?
I do, but I don't know if I used it before. Like I feel like it's a word that I've heard a few times and I feel like I haven't used it, but I don't know if I have or not.
All
I
right.
haven't kept
Let's
track of all the words of the day.
me
All
neither.
right. So
So let's
today's word is mellifluous.
mellifluous.
Hmm.
I've heard of Maleficent, and I thought you was about to go there because I was about to be like, "Oh, that's the movie." Mellifluous. I don't even know how to spell that one. Mellifluous.
Yeah.
Mellifluous. Mellifluous. All right. Mellifluous. Let's break this down. Malif, okay. Maleficent, mellifluous, I flew, all right, mellifluous. Mellifluous is a state of being male and superfluous. So you combine it and make up a made up goddamn word, mellifluous. I have no idea, my man.
This is sweet or musical and pleasant to hear. So, like, the voice was mellifluous and smooth. It's a sweet sounding
Okay, how do you spell that, good sir?
Mellifluous.
Right. Yeah, I see. I was thinking Mal, and I messed that all up. So Mellifluous.
Hmm.
Okay. What? I'm gonna have to look this one up because that doesn't even seem like it has a origin that's anywhere near a real word that English language uses.
You got to think of melody, mel,
Oh, yes.
And
And Erica said, "You guys have some mellifluous voices."
I'm not even gonna do it.
Oh man, that laugh was so good. Hey, all right. We've come to the end of the Just Joking podcast. I appreciate Eric for coming on the entire hour and hanging out with us. I appreciate that. Eric even came out and said that when I came on earlier and said, "Hey, baby," it was very mellifluous. I'm not going to forget this word. I'm definitely gonna remember this word because of this episode of the Just Joking podcast. Joe and I always appreciate the people that watch and listen to our podcast. If you want to ask us questions, go over to our Facebook page and look up Just Joking podcast. Me and him are both there. Reach out to us, chat with us. We would love to build a community around other people that want to hear us talk about stuff. Maybe they can bring up some stuff or whatnot, and we will connect with you guys. When you catch this on the audio podcast, there'll be a way that you can reach out via email if you have any questions. I'm going to put the email in the description of the podcast episode because I never remember it offhand. I've got like 20 that I have right now, so I'm not even going to try to remember. Joe, do you have anything that you want to sign off with today, brother?
There's a lot of shit going on in the world right now. Obviously, COVID's still a thing. The war in Ukraine is still a thing. Um, just remember it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all the end of the world. Be good to each other, and it's okay to take it easy on yourself. You know what I mean?
All right. Absolutely. I am with that. I am going to add kind of the same thing. So I'm really not going to say too much. I do like Eric's comments in that he said maybe some video game talks in the future. We're definitely going to do that because Joe and I are both gamers. We've talked about World of Warcraft on one of our
Mhm.
prior episodes, but that's not the only thing that we're into. Me and him are both being gamers involved in different various games. We like similar genres or whatnot. And maybe one of these days when I figure out how to stream like through the
Mm,
Xbox or whatever, we can get on and maybe
yeah,
we'll just have an episode where we're streaming, gaming, and chatting at the same time. That'd be dope.
that'd be tight.
That'd be dope. I'd have to
That'd be
figure
tight.
out how to make that work, but I would love to do something like that. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back in 2 weeks with another episode of the Just Joking podcast. Until next time, everybody.